Is Kobbie Mainoo ready to walk away? The transfer drama that could change everything at Old Trafford. Welcome to United News, your trusted source for all things Manchester United. Today we dive deep into a story that has every Red Devils fan talking. One of our brightest young stars might be heading for the exit door, and the reasons behind it could shake the very foundations of what we thought we knew about our rebuild under Ruben Amorim. Picture this. You are 19 years old. You have just played for England at a major tournament. Top clubs across Europe are watching your every move. You are being compared to football legends like Zinedine Zidane by former Manchester United greats. But instead of celebrating, you are sitting on the bench watching your team lose to a League Two side in the Cup. This is the reality facing Kobbie Mainoo right now. The young midfielder who many believed would be the future of Manchester United has reportedly walked into the club offices with his agent and delivered a message that no United fan wanted to hear. He wants out. Not permanently, but he wants to leave on loan before the transfer window slams shut. What led to this moment? Why is one of our most promising talents considering his future at Old Trafford? And what does this mean for Manchester United moving forward? Let's break down everything you need to know about this developing situation. The current situation. What exactly is happening? The news broke like a thunderbolt through the football world. Transfer expert Fabrizio Romano revealed that Kobbie Mainoo has made his intentions crystal clear to Manchester United. He wants to leave the club on loan this summer, and he wants to do it before the transfer window closes on Monday. But here is the important part. This is not about Mainoo wanting to abandon Manchester United forever. Romano was very clear about this. The young midfielder still loves the club. He still believes in the project. He does not want a permanent exit. What he wants is something every young player needs: regular football. The timing of this request tells us everything we need to know about Mainoo's frustration. He has appeared in just one match this season, and that was against Grimsby Town in the League Cup. Even worse, United lost that match on penalties to a League Two side. For a player of Mainoo's caliber, sitting on the sidelines while the team struggles must be incredibly difficult. Romano explained what happened when Mainoo and his agent visited the United offices. They were direct and honest. The message was simple but powerful. Mainoo needs to play regular football, especially with the World Cup coming up. He cannot afford to spend another season on the bench. Why is Mainoo not playing? Understanding Amorim's decisions. This brings us to one of the biggest questions surrounding this situation. Why is Kobbie Mainoo not featuring in Ruben Amorim's plans? The Portuguese manager has had a difficult start to life at Old Trafford, with United taking just 1 point from their opening 2 Premier League matches. When a team is struggling, you would expect the manager to turn to his most talented players. Mainoo has proven himself at the highest level. He has played for England. He has shown his quality in big matches. Yet Amorim seems to have different ideas about how his team should line up. The issue appears to be tactical rather than personal. Amorim has a very specific way of playing football. He uses a system that he brought with him from Sporting Lisbon. Sometimes this system does not have room for certain types of players, no matter how talented they might be. This creates a difficult situation for everyone involved. Amorim needs time to implement his vision. The club wants to support their new manager, but they also have a responsibility to develop their young talents. When these two needs clash, something has to give. For Mainoo, the calculation is simple. He is 19 years old. This is the most important time in his development as a player. Every month spent on the bench is a month where he could be improving somewhere else. Every game missed is experience lost. The interest from other clubs. Who wants Mainoo? The response to Mainoo's availability has been overwhelming. Romano revealed that over 15 clubs have called Manchester United about a potential loan deal. This level of interest shows just how highly rated Mainoo is across European football. The interest spans multiple countries. Clubs from Spain, England, and Italy have all made contact. This gives Mainoo plenty of options if United decide to let him leave. One club that has been specifically mentioned is Napoli from Italy. The Italian giants see Mainoo as someone who could add quality to their midfield. Playing in Serie A would be a fantastic experience for any young midfielder. The league is known for its tactical discipline and would help Mainoo develop different aspects of his game. But it is not just Italian clubs showing interest. Newcastle United have also been linked with a move for the midfielder. This would allow Mainoo to stay in the Premier League while getting the regular football he craves. Playing for Newcastle could be perfect for his development while keeping him in familiar surroundings. The fact that Real Madrid are also monitoring the situation shows just how special people think Mainoo could become. Real Madrid do not waste time on average players. If they are watching Mainoo, it means they see something very special in him. What the legends are saying, the Zidane comparisons. The praise for Kobbie Mainoo from former Manchester United players has been incredible. Paul Scholes, one of the greatest midfielders in United history, has made some remarkable statements about the young player. Scholes compared Mainoo to Zinedine Zidane, saying he is the nearest thing he has seen to the Real Madrid legend in terms of taking the ball, receiving it, and cruising past people. These are not words that Scholes uses lightly. He knows greatness when he sees it, but Scholes went even further. He said that Mainoo is 10 times the player that Scholes himself was at 19 years old. Think about that for a moment. This is Paul Scholes talking about a current United player. Scholes won everything there was to win at Manchester United. For him to make such a comparison shows how highly he rates Mainoo's potential. Rio Ferdinand, another United legend, had his own take on Mainoo's style. He compared him to Clarence Seedorf rather than Zidane, but the point remains the same. These are comparisons to world-class midfielders who dominated football at the highest level. Ferdinand also made an important point about timing. He noted that at 19, Mainoo is already playing for England and starting in major tournaments. When Scholes was 19, he was not at that level yet. He had asthma problems and could not finish games properly. The fact that Mainoo is already performing at such a high level makes his current situation even more frustrating. The England factor, why regular football matters. One of the biggest reasons why Mainoo wants to leave on loan is the upcoming World Cup. As an England international, he knows that he needs to be playing regular football to keep his place in the national team setup. Football has changed dramatically in recent years. International managers now have access to detailed data about every player. They know exactly how many minutes each player has played, how they have performed, and whether they are improving or declining. For England, the competition for midfield places is intense. Players like Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, and others are playing week in and week out for their clubs. If Mainoo is sitting on the bench at United, other players will overtake him in the pecking order. The World Cup represents the pinnacle of football achievement. For any player, missing out on a World Cup because they were not playing club football would be devastating. Mainoo understands this reality, and it is driving his desire to find regular playing time. England manager Gareth Southgate has shown faith in Mainoo by including him in major tournaments. But that faith will not last forever if Mainoo is not playing club football. International football is about form and fitness, and you can only maintain both by playing regularly. Manchester United's response. Standing firm. Despite the pressure from Mainoo and his representatives, Manchester United have made their position clear. They do not want him to leave, not even on loan. The club sees him as an important part of their future, and they are not willing to let him go. Romano reported that United's answer to Mainoo's request was very clear. They told him they do not want him to go on loan or on a permanent transfer. This puts the club in a difficult position. They want to keep a talented player, but they also risk damaging their relationship with him. From United's perspective, their stance makes sense. Mainoo is one of the few bright sparks to emerge from their academy in recent years. He has already shown that he can perform at the highest level. Letting him go, even on loan, could be a decision they regret later. The club also has to consider the message that letting Mainoo leave would send to other young players. If talented youngsters can force loan moves whenever they are not in the first team, it could set a dangerous precedent. But United's refusal to let Mainoo leave creates its own problems. A frustrated player is rarely a happy player. If Mainoo feels that his development is being blocked, it could lead to bigger problems down the line. The Ferdinand perspective. What should Mainoo do? Rio Ferdinand offered some interesting advice for Mainoo during his podcast discussion. His perspective as a former United player who faced similar challenges in his career makes his words particularly relevant. Ferdinand suggested that Mainoo should ask himself a simple question. What does he need to do to get back in Amorim's team? Instead of looking for an easy way out, Ferdinand believes Mainoo should go directly to the manager and ask for specific feedback. The former defender emphasized the importance of hard work and preparation. He suggested that Mainoo should use this difficult period to improve his game. Every training session should be treated as an opportunity to show the manager what he can do. Ferdinand's advice reflects the old-school mentality that many successful players have used throughout their careers. When faced with adversity, work harder. When the manager does not pick you, prove him wrong through your performances in training. But Ferdinand also acknowledged that Mainoo's frustration is understandable. He has a fair argument when he says he is not getting the chance to prove himself. The challenge for any young player is balancing patience with ambition. Ferdinand's final point was about being ready when the opportunity comes. He warned Mainoo not to let his chance pass him by because he was not prepared. This is sage advice from someone who understands what it takes to succeed at the highest level. The broader picture, what this means for United's youth development. The Mainoo situation raises bigger questions about Manchester United's approach to youth development. For years, the club has prided itself on giving young players opportunities. The class of '92 became legends partly because they were trusted with important roles at a young age. But football has changed since then. Managers are under more pressure than ever to get immediate results. There is less patience for young players to learn on the job. This creates a difficult environment for talented youngsters like Mainoo. United's refusal to let Mainoo leave on loan suggests they believe he will eventually break into the first team under Amorim. But if that does not happen, they risk losing him permanently in the future. Other clubs will continue to monitor his situation, and a frustrated player might eventually push for a permanent move. The club needs to find a way to balance their immediate needs with their long-term planning. Keeping Mainoo happy while also supporting Amorim's plans will require careful management from everyone involved. This situation also highlights the importance of communication between the club, manager, and players. If Mainoo had been given clearer information about his role in Amorim's plans, perhaps this loan request could have been avoided. Other clubs circling. The Real Madrid factor. The interest from Real Madrid adds another layer to this story. Real Madrid do not chase after players unless they believe they can become world-class talents. Their interest in Mainoo is both a compliment to the player and a warning to Manchester United. Real Madrid have a history of developing young midfielders. Players like Luka Modric, Toni Kroos, and Casemiro all flourished at the Bernabeu. If Real Madrid believe Mainoo could follow in their footsteps, United should take notice. The Spanish giants are not just interested in signing Mainoo now. They are likely monitoring his development with a view to making a move in the future. If United do not handle this situation carefully, they could find themselves losing Mainoo to Real Madrid permanently. Newcastle's interest presents a different type of challenge. They can offer Premier League football and the chance for Mainoo to stay in England. For a young English player, this might be more appealing than moving abroad. Newcastle have also shown they are serious about building a competitive team. They have invested heavily in new players and have ambitions to compete at the highest level. Playing for Newcastle could give Mainoo the platform he needs to develop while staying in familiar surroundings. The transfer deadline pressure. Time running out. With the transfer window closing on Monday, time is running out for all parties to reach a resolution. This creates additional pressure on everyone involved in the negotiations. For Mainoo, the deadline represents his last chance to secure regular football for the first half of the season. If he does not get a loan move now, he will have to wait until January for another opportunity. By then, several months of potential development time will have been lost. Manchester United face their own deadline pressure. If they continue to refuse Mainoo's loan request, they risk damaging their relationship with one of their most promising players. But if they give in to his demands, they might be setting a precedent that other young players could follow. The clubs interested in signing Mainoo are also under pressure. They need to know quickly whether a deal is possible so they can make alternative plans if necessary. Some of these clubs might move on to other targets if United continue to block a loan move. What would a loan move achieve? Let's think about what a loan move could actually accomplish for all parties involved. For Mainoo, the benefits are obvious. He would get regular playing time at a competitive level. This would help him maintain his sharpness and continue his development. Playing regularly would also help Mainoo keep his place in the England setup. International experience is crucial for any young player's development. The more he plays for England, the more confidence he will gain. A successful loan spell could also increase Mainoo's value to Manchester United. If he performs well elsewhere, he would return to Old Trafford as a more experienced and valuable player. This has worked well for other United players in the past. For the loan club, getting Mainoo would be like winning the lottery. They would be getting a player who has already proven himself at international level. His quality could help them achieve their own objectives for the season. Even Manchester United could benefit from a loan move, despite their current refusal to sanction one. A successful loan would prove that their faith in Mainoo's ability was justified. It would also give Amorim more time to establish his system without the pressure of fitting Mainoo into it immediately. The Amorim factor, a new manager's dilemma. Ruben Amorim finds himself in a very difficult position. He has been brought to Manchester United to implement a new style of football. This requires time and patience from everyone at the club. But he also has some incredibly talented players who expect to play regularly. Amorim's early results have not been encouraging. Taking just 1 point from the first 2 Premier League matches has put him under immediate pressure. In this environment, every decision he makes will be scrutinized by fans, media, and the club hierarchy. The manager might feel that keeping Mainoo at the club is important for squad depth. Injuries and suspensions could create opportunities for the young midfielder later in the season, but this approach carries risks if Mainoo becomes increasingly frustrated. Amorim also has to consider the message that his team selection sends to other young players at the club. If he shows that hard work and talent will eventually be rewarded, it could motivate others to push for first-team opportunities. The Portuguese manager's relationship with Mainoo could define how other young players view their futures at United. Get this wrong, and it could damage the club's reputation for developing young talent. Learning from the past, how United have handled similar situations. Manchester United have faced similar situations with young players before. Some have been handled well, others less so. Looking at these examples can help us understand what might happen with Mainoo. In recent years, United have sent several promising youngsters out on loan with mixed results. Some players have returned stronger and more experienced. Others have struggled to break back into the first team upon their return. The key factor seems to be choosing the right club for the loan move. Players who have joined clubs with good coaching and a style of play that suits them have generally done better. Those who have ended up at clubs where they do not fit have often struggled. United's history with youth development is generally positive. The class of '92 became legends because they were given opportunities at the right time. But the football landscape has changed significantly since then. The pressure for immediate results means fewer young players get those crucial early opportunities. The fan perspective. What do United supporters think? Manchester United fans are divided on this issue. Some believe that Mainoo should stay and fight for his place in the team. They argue that leaving on loan could disrupt his connection with the club and its supporters. Other fans understand Mainoo's frustration and believe a loan move could be beneficial for everyone. They point to examples of other young players who have developed well during loan spells before returning to make significant contributions. Many supporters are also questioning Amorim's team selection. If Mainoo is talented enough to start for England, why is he not getting opportunities at United? This criticism adds pressure on the manager to either find a place for Mainoo in his team or explain why he is not being used. The fan reaction to this situation could influence how the club handles it. United supporters have generally been patient with young players, but they also want to see the team winning matches. Balancing these expectations is never easy. The financial implications. What is Mainoo worth? From a business perspective, Manchester United need to consider what Kobbie Mainoo represents in terms of value. Young, talented English players are incredibly valuable in today's transfer market. Mainoo's potential worth could be enormous if he continues to develop as expected. Letting him leave on loan carries financial risks. If he performs exceptionally well elsewhere, other clubs might be tempted to make permanent offers that could be difficult to refuse. United would then face the prospect of losing a potentially world-class player for less than his true value. On the other hand, keeping an unhappy player could also damage his value. If Mainoo becomes frustrated and his development stagnates, his market value could decline. This would be a loss for everyone involved. The club also needs to consider the cost of not developing their own players. Buying established stars costs enormous amounts of money. If United can develop players like Mainoo internally, it gives them a significant financial advantage over their competitors. Comparing Mainoo to other young stars, how does he stack up? When we look at other young midfielders across European football, Mainoo's talent becomes even more apparent. Players like Jude Bellingham, Pedri, and Kobbie have all been given regular opportunities at top clubs and have thrived as a result. Bellingham's move to Real Madrid shows what can happen when a young English midfielder gets the right opportunities. He has become one of the most important players at the biggest club in the world. Could Mainoo follow a similar path if he gets regular football? The comparison with these other young stars also highlights what Mainoo might be missing by sitting on United's bench. While his contemporaries are playing in Champions League matches and gaining valuable experience, Mainoo is watching from the sidelines. This gap in playing time could become significant over the coming years. Football development is not just about talent. It is also about experience, confidence, and momentum. Players who get regular opportunities tend to improve faster than those who do not. The World Cup consideration, international ambitions. The upcoming World Cup adds urgency to Mainoo's situation. International tournaments represent the biggest stage in football, and missing out on a World Cup can haunt a player for years. England have a strong midfield, but there are opportunities for players who can prove their worth. Mainoo has already shown that he belongs at international level. The question is whether he can maintain his place without regular club football. International managers value consistency and form. Players who are performing well for their clubs week in and week out are more likely to be selected. This creates additional pressure on Mainoo to find regular playing time. The World Cup factor also explains why Mainoo is not interested in a permanent move away from United. He wants to establish himself as a regular England player, but he also wants to do it while representing Manchester United. A loan move would allow him to achieve both objectives. What other players have done, learning from similar situations. Looking at how other young players have handled similar situations can provide valuable insights. Some have chosen to stay and fight for their places, while others have sought opportunities elsewhere. Mason Mount's early career provides an interesting comparison. He spent time on loan at Vitesse and Derby County before establishing himself at Chelsea. Those loan spells were crucial for his development and helped him become the player he is today. Reece James followed a similar path, spending time on loan at Wigan Athletic before becoming a regular at Chelsea. These examples show that loan moves can be beneficial if they are handled correctly. However, there are also examples of loan moves that have not worked out as planned. Some players have struggled to adapt to new environments or have not received the playing time they were promised. The key is finding the right fit between player and club. Mainoo would need to join a team where he would be valued and given the opportunity to develop his game. Amorim's challenge: balancing present and future. Ruben Amorim faces a classic management dilemma. He needs to get results immediately to justify his appointment, but he also needs to think about the long-term future of the club. Using Mainoo regularly could help United's short-term performance. His quality is undeniable, and he could provide the creativity and energy that the team currently lacks. But if Amorim's system does not suit Mainoo's strengths, forcing him into the team could create other problems. The manager also has to consider the message his decisions send to the dressing room. If he gives in to Mainoo's loan request, other players might think they can make similar demands. Maintaining authority while keeping players happy is one of the most challenging aspects of football management. Amorim's reputation will partly depend on how he handles situations like this. Great managers find ways to keep talented players happy while also implementing their vision for the team. The Academy Connection: What this means for youth development. Kobbie Mainoo represents everything that Manchester United's academy is supposed to produce. He is talented, dedicated, and has a genuine connection to the club. His current situation raises questions about whether the pathway from academy to first team is working as it should. United have invested heavily in their youth setup in recent years. The training facilities at Carrington are among the best in the world. But all of this investment means nothing if talented players cannot get opportunities in the first team. The club's handling of Mainoo's situation will be watched closely by other young players in the academy. If they see that even someone as talented as Mainoo struggles to get playing time, they might question their own futures at the club. Creating a clear pathway for young players is essential for any club's long-term success. United need to show that talent will be rewarded and that patient players will eventually get their opportunities. The leadership question. Who should make this decision? This situation raises important questions about leadership and decision-making at Manchester United. Who should have the final say on whether Mainoo goes out on loan? Amorim, as the manager, should have significant input into any decision about his squad. He knows what type of players he needs to implement his system. But the club's hierarchy also has responsibilities to consider the long-term implications. The football director, technical director, and other senior figures at the club need to balance Amorim's immediate needs with the club's broader strategy. This is not always easy, especially when there are conflicting priorities. Communication between all parties will be crucial. If everyone understands the reasoning behind any decision, it becomes easier to move forward constructively. Alternative solutions. Finding middle ground. Instead of a straight yes or no to Mainoo's loan request, could there be alternative solutions that satisfy everyone involved? One possibility would be a guarantee of more playing time at United. If Amorim could commit to giving Mainoo regular opportunities, it might persuade the player to stay. But this would require a change in the manager's current approach. Another option might be a winter loan move. If Mainoo does not get significant playing time in the first half of the season, United could allow him to leave in January. This would give Amorim more time to assess his squad while also providing Mainoo with a potential exit route. The club could also look at sending Mainoo to a specific club where they have a good relationship. This would allow them to monitor his development closely and ensure he is being used appropriately. The psychological impact. How players handle frustration. Being left out of the team can have a significant psychological impact on any player, but it can be particularly challenging for young players who are still developing their mental resilience. Mainoo's request for a loan move might be as much about his mental well-being as his football development. Sitting on the bench week after week can be demoralizing, especially for a player who has experienced the highs of international football. The club's sports psychology team will need to work closely with Mainoo during this period. Helping him maintain confidence and motivation while he waits for opportunities will be crucial. How Mainoo handles this adversity could define his character as a player. Some players use periods of frustration as motivation to work harder. Others can become discouraged and lose confidence in their ability. The media spotlight. Managing external pressure. The attention surrounding Mainoo's situation shows how much interest there is in his development. This media spotlight can be both helpful and harmful for a young player. On one hand, the praise from legends like Paul Scholes will boost Mainoo's confidence and reputation. Knowing that respected figures in football rate him highly will help him believe in his own ability. But the constant speculation about his future could also create additional pressure. Every training session and every appearance will be analyzed for clues about his relationship with the manager and the club. Managing this media attention will require maturity from Mainoo and support from United's communications team. The last thing anyone wants is for this situation to become a distraction that affects the entire team. The tactical puzzle. Where does Mainoo fit? Understanding why Mainoo is not featuring in Amorim's team requires looking at the tactical setup the Portuguese manager prefers. Different systems suit different types of players, and it is possible that Mainoo's skill set does not align perfectly with what Amorim wants. Amorim typically uses a very specific formation and playing style. He demands high levels of tactical discipline from his midfielders. Perhaps he feels that Mainoo needs more time to adapt to these requirements before he can be trusted with regular starts. Alternatively, Amorim might simply have other players who he feels are better suited to his system right now. This does not necessarily reflect poorly on Mainoo's ability. It might just be a matter of tactical fit. Understanding these tactical considerations could help explain Mainoo's limited playing time without suggesting that his ability is in question. The long-term vision. Where does this lead? Looking beyond the current transfer window, what does the future hold for Kobbie Mainoo at Manchester United? Several scenarios are possible, each with different implications for the player and the club. If Mainoo stays at United and eventually breaks into the first team, this difficult period could be seen as a necessary part of his development. Many great players have faced similar challenges early in their careers. But if he continues to be overlooked, the pressure for a permanent move could become irresistible. Real Madrid's interest shows that other top clubs are watching his situation closely. The worst-case scenario for United would be losing Mainoo permanently while receiving minimal compensation. This could happen if his contract situation becomes complicated or if he runs down his deal. Making the right choice. What should happen next? So what should Manchester United do? Should they stick to their position and keep Mainoo at the club? Or should they allow him to leave on loan to get the playing time he needs? There are valid arguments on both sides. Keeping Mainoo shows that United value their young players and believe in their long-term potential. It also ensures that the club retains control over his development. But allowing him to leave on loan could be better for his immediate development needs. Regular football at a good level would help him maintain momentum in his career and keep his place in the England setup. The decision should ultimately be based on what is best for Mainoo's long-term development and Manchester United's strategic objectives. If these two things align, the choice becomes easier. Lessons for young players. What can others learn? Mainoo's situation provides valuable lessons for other young players who might face similar challenges in their careers. His approach of being direct and honest with the club about his needs shows maturity and professionalism. The way he has handled the media attention also demonstrates good judgment. Rather than creating unnecessary drama, he is focused on his desire to play regular football. Other young players can learn from both Mainoo's situation and Ferdinand's advice. Working hard in training and being ready when opportunities arise will always be important. But so will being honest about your needs and ambitions. The business of football. Understanding modern realities. This situation also reflects the broader realities of modern football. Players have more power than ever before to influence their careers. Agents play a bigger role in decision-making. The global nature of football means opportunities exist all around the world. For clubs like Manchester United, managing these modern realities while maintaining their values and objectives requires careful planning and communication. The days when players simply accepted whatever role they were given are long gone. Understanding and adapting to these changes will be crucial for United's continued success. The club that handles these situations best will have a significant advantage in attracting and developing the best young talent. Conclusion. A decision that could define the future. As Monday's transfer deadline approaches, the Kobbie Mainoo situation remains unresolved. What happens next could define not just his career, but also Manchester United's approach to youth development under Ruben Amorim. The stakes could not be higher. Mainoo represents the type of player that United need to build their future around. Losing him, even temporarily, would be a blow to the club's ambitions. But keeping an unhappy player could create its own set of problems. Whatever decision is made, it needs to be based on what is best for both Mainoo's development and Manchester United's long-term success. The club cannot afford to get this wrong. For Mainoo, this moment could be a defining one in his young career. How he handles this adversity and what decision he ultimately makes will say a lot about his character and ambition. As United fans, we can only hope that common sense prevails and that a solution is found that works for everyone involved. Mainoo is too talented to waste, and United are too big a club to let promising players slip away unnecessarily. The next few days will be crucial. Will United find a way to keep their young star happy? Will Mainoo get the loan move he is seeking? Or will this situation drag on and create more problems for everyone involved? Whatever happens, one thing is certain. Kobbie Mainoo's future will be watched closely by football fans around the world. His talent demands nothing less, and his potential success or failure will reflect on everyone involved in this decision. Thank you for joining us at Unite United News for this in-depth look at one of the most important stories surrounding Manchester United right now. We will continue to follow this situation closely and bring you all the latest developments as they happen. Stay tuned for more trusted coverage of everything happening at Old Trafford.